Well, well, well. Aaron Rodgers had an interview today, broke his silence from Malibu, California, and everybody thought the same thing. All right, here comes the Rodgers announcement. He's going to the Steelers, and it's right before OTAs, and it's right before the draft. So, of course, he's just going to say, okay, I'm going to the Steelers, getting ready, let's go. That's not what happened. In true Aaron Rodgers fashion, that's not what he said. He said he's not going anywhere. He's got some personal issues to deal with. He's not retiring yet. As of now, he's not signing with anyone. He's still contemplating his future. He's not holding anybody up. If they need to draft a quarterback, sign a quarterback, he's okay with it. So sounds like he might be leaning toward retirement or waiting for another offer to come in. We don't know. But along the way, in this 45-minute interview with Pat McAfee, he also threw the Jets under the bus. And this is typical Aaron Rodgers. So my thoughts are that, I'm glad that he's reconciled with his sister. That's nice. But it'd be nice if he also reconciled with his parents, with his brothers, with the Green Bay Packers. Do you see a pattern here? This is a pattern of Aaron Rodgers' life where once he's done with you, he throws you right under the bus, and you're no good to him anymore. And this is outlined very well in Ian O'Connor's book about Aaron Rodgers, if you'd like to read about it. But this is a pattern that he does have. And that's fine and good. And he outlined a strange meeting that he had with the Jets that he thought, but we don't know the full details of it. As you know, there's when it comes to any kind of an issue, there's your side, my side, and then there's the truth. There's three sides to any issue: your side, my side, and the truth. So we're not going to know the Jets side. We don't know why AG went and had a 20-second conversation and then pulled Muji in the room. Typically, when you see that happen in a management context, I don't know if you've ever seen this in the workplace, but when you're pulling people into a room, when you're having a conversation, that's almost always because you need a witness, because you're afraid this person's going to say some wacky stuff, and you need somebody to kind of witness and say, no, this is what really happened. But we don't know, and we're probably not going to know why that happened that way, why they didn't have a long conversation about things that Rodgers expected. We don't know why Rodgers got on his own plane on his own dime and flew in. We don't know if that was his suggestion, the Jets' suggestion, who suggested it. If he called them up and said, hey, I'd like to fly in and talk, what do you expect the Jets to say? No, we'd rather have a phone conversation. So we don't know exactly what's going on, but we heard Rodgers' viewpoint of it. We do know once Rodgers is done with an entity, whether it's a family of his own, like his own parents and his brothers that he doesn't talk to anymore, hopefully they can reconcile. Or the Packers, and you heard lots of negative stuff about the Packers when he was leaving their team, and now the Jets, so this is a pattern for Aaron Rodgers. But the most interesting, so that's what that is. We'll never know the full truth of the story. We're moving on. Thank God. See you later, Aaron. Thanks for your 2 years. Thank you very much. We're moving on. Good decision by AG and the team. We're moving on. It's time to just move on with our lives. But most importantly is what he didn't say. He didn't say, I'm signing with the Steelers right now. And we have the draft coming up. So this has draft implications. And interestingly, these draft implications have to do with Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers, the two quarterbacks that we were considering. If you remember, in the offseason when we decided wasn't going to be Zach Wilson, we had a choice. Derek Carr, we could have signed for just money, and we could have signed him very easily for just money if we wanted to, or go after Aaron Rodgers and swing a trade with the Packers, who were ready to move on to Jordan Love. Those were the choices. We chose Rodgers. Turns out to be a bad choice, but anyway, now Carr is saying that he's injured and might miss the whole season. So, how does this affect the draft, Frankie, you might be saying? Well, it's very interesting. If you take a look at where we are on the old draft board here. If you look at it, the Saints have the 9th pick. Here they are. Now they're suddenly might have a much bigger need for a quarterback. Here we are at 7. Of course, Raiders just signed Geno. They don't need a quarterback. Jaguars have flowy hair McGee over there. He's signed up for $60 million gazillion dollars. They don't need a quarterback. Patriots have their young fella and Drake May. They don't need a quarterback. These two teams Browns, Giants look like they're going to take the two studs, and Cam Ward's going to go here. So Ward's going to go here, and then it's going to be Carter and Hunter in some kind of order. This could be reversed. Hunter, Carter. Looks like. Then these teams don't need a quarterback. We're not going to go for a quarterback, and the Panthers don't need a quarterback because they have Bryce Young. But the Saints might need a quarterback now. But now the Steelers need a quarterback. Where are they in the draft? They're all the way down here at 21. So could it be that the Steelers now are going to change their plans and go, you know what, we'd really... Doobie-doo. All right, so something happened with the microphone there. Sorry about that. So in any case, if let's say the Steelers do not have a deal with Rodgers in the works, they might want to do a trade up to 7. Well, if that happens, though, so we're basically... if we stick at 7, we basically are going to get one of 4 players, it looks like, unless there are surprises. We're either going to get this gentleman, this gentleman, this gentleman, or this gentleman, basically. And the order of preference is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And any one of those would be fine at 7, and I think we should all be pretty happy with that. But if we go all the way down to 21, who are the types of players who might be available down here? Well, we can still get an offensive lineman like a Josh Simmons, who's very good, but has an injury concern he's coming off of. We can pick up a Malachi Starks type. Colston Loveland might fall to us, though unlikely. Kenneth Grant could be an option. Derek Harmon, Gray Zabel. So there's still some players here. Walter Nolan, a very good defensive lineman. You could even take a Tyler Booker stretch. This is a guard, but then you kick AVT out to tackle. Don't want to do it, but hey, you could even get a guy like a Josh Connerly out here. He's ranked 34th on the big board. Some people have him much higher. But if you're picking at 21, you could pick a Josh Connerly. And basically, you would have an extra 3rd-round pick then because the Steelers don't have a 2nd-round pick to give us. They got to give us a 3rd and a player, and we got to rework the contract and a 1st next year. This way, let's say we pick probably my choice out of these. Depends if you think Simmons is okay with the knee, believe it is his injury. You can either go with him or Connerly, right? Then we're going to have 2 3rd-round picks and our own 2nd-round pick. So then in the 2nd-round pick, you could take Tyleek Williams. There's your defensive lineman. Or Mason Taylor. There's your tight end. And then we would have a couple of 3rd-round picks, and that's where we get whatever we didn't get before. We could get a Jack Betch. We could get a nice, an edge player. So trading down is not a bad idea. We could get our wide receiver if we want to. That could help us get that position handled. But the whole idea is that still good players all around here that we could want. Makuba, Ozzy Trepilo's down here still. If you think this is a big dude here, if you didn't choose the offensive tackle with the other one, here's a guy we had in for a visit. Okay, that we would like on our defensive line. So lots of things you could do here if you were to trade down. But the bottom line is, regardless of what you think about AG and what he said to Rodgers and how he handled it, maybe he could have handled it a little nicer. But I think AG just didn't want the bullshit, if you ask me. He just was like, get this bullshitter out of here. And we need to get going with our program. And so, but if it makes the Steelers, a little desperate, what are they going to do? They're going to start Mason Rudolph? Even if you did start Mason Rudolph, that's no hope for the future. So they might want to come up now. And the Saints are now in a position where they got to take a quarterback. And so, Whereas before you'd think, okay, they're going to slip down. Well, not with the Saints situation now. Derek Carr wants out of there, or maybe injured for the whole season, whatever's going on. So now they're in play for a quarterback, which means teams may want to come up here or here. The Panthers, they may not want to trade out of 8. They may want to get their premium guy here. Whereas we got a lot of options what we could do at 21, especially if you're going to give us a Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now we don't need a safety. Get an extra third-round pick. That means we got an extra premium pick this year plus a first next year in case, Justin Fields doesn't work out. And then you use that premium pick on a nice wide receiver like a Betch, and this way you get an offensive tackle, a defensive tackle, a tight end, and a wide receiver. Now we're cooking. Boom. All because Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to go to the Steelers necessarily, it seems like. So he could be doing us a favor. He could be doing us a big favor when it comes draft night. So we'll have to see how it all plays out, but it could be very, very interesting. With that being said, hopefully this microphone is okay. I have to check it on the. If only Frankie had some equipment that worked. Anyway, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. Please give it a like. Tell your friends about old Frankie. If you're already a subscriber, put it on your social media. Tell your friends. Come see old Frankie on the channel and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And you're telling your friends, hey, go subscribe to this guy. He knows what he's talking about sometimes. All right. I'll see you next time.